Kentucky is bouncing back from a difficult week, and in Washington, there is renewed scrutiny on our economy. As always, we are breaking down these issues and the politics behind them with some spirited but respectful debate. We are joined this morning by Republican Representative Matt Lockett, who represents District 39, serving parts of Fayette and Jessamine counties. We are also joined today by Democratic Representative and Minority Floor Leader Pamela Stevenson, who represents District 43, serving part of Jefferson County, and who also recently launched a bid for the United States Senate seat held by Mitch McConnell. Thank you both so much for joining me this morning, and look forward to having a great discussion with you both.
It's great to be here.
And we have a lot to cover this week, including the state and federal response to devastating flooding and the tariff whiplash causing global markets to both free fall and soar, plus an executive order on coal signed by the president and the impact it could have on Kentucky. We begin this morning with another historic flood that has gripped the Commonwealth. Days of rain caused deadly flooding as rivers across the state came near record levels. Now residents and businesses in the Commonwealth are picking up the pieces. Governor Beshear says the state is already submitted its application for individual assistance from FEMA, and that conversations are underway with the agency about where to place disaster recovery centers when the request is approved. Beshear expects the initial help to be for a limited number of 10 to 12 counties, but promises there will be more. However, as Kentucky moves past its latest disaster, Governor Beshear is sharing concern that the available money budgeted to respond could be maxed out before lawmakers craft the state's next budget in 2026.
So we're not to a need for a special session yet, but remember, we're not out of, the first year of the biennium. And so if you take February's flooding that we had, you take this one, I think we've had another one in this biennium as well. We are going to reach that cap at some point. I don't have a date for you yet. My goal would be to try to do something about it before we hit it, but remember, these natural disasters, we don't get to plan.
Beshear explained that the scale of the disaster is even greater than the flooding in February, with more than 70 counties declaring states of emergency. So, Representative Stevenson, I want to start with you here, since both of y'all are House members. The budget starts in the House. When y'all were at the budget table last year, you recall some of the justification and arguments that were presented on this particular issue?
Well, the arguments that were presented, we actually argued against, because we are a part-time legislator and the governor is full-time and needs to have all available resources available. And last year, we'd already been the victim, if you will, of Mother Nature. We had so many storms. It's been 2 every year. So we needed to give them flexibility to deal with the Kentuckians that need our help.
Representative Lockett, what do you think of the validity of the governor's concerns?
I think it's important that, you know, as we craft a budget, that we craft it in mind to give those agencies the money that they need. It's important to also point out that we believe that the governor has what he needs. If he does not, he knows how to reach out. He knows how to call a special session. And so if that is what is necessary, we encourage him to do that.
Is there any likelihood there could be another disaster spending cap whenever we get to the next budget in 26?
I think it's important to point out that the legislature is the one that controls the budget, not the governor. The legislature is the body that sets those limits. And so it's important when it comes to overall spending, it's important to say here's what that is on a daily basis. If there needs to be more, come back and present your case.
How do Democrats feel about that, Representative Stevenson?
Why would you call a special session to handle what the governor can handle when he had full authority before this legislative session? Let the governor govern, and if he doesn't, do something about it. But to tie his hands and not allow him to help Kentuckians is foul.
What do you think of the role that FEMA is going to be ending up playing in this? Because, as the governor said, we're not at the point where we need a special session yet, and is really at least pleased at this point with the role FEMA has played so far in this disaster compared to others. How will lawmakers be watching FEMA's role in this recovery?
Well, Kentucky is one of the poorest states, and we get a lot of help from FEMA because we've had 2 natural disasters a year for a while. We need FEMA. We need the influx of federal structure and assistance to help Kentuckians. They've paid taxes. Why can't they get FEMA help?
On the Republican side, how will lawmakers be watching the agency with so much renewed attention?
Well, I would agree. It's certainly important. Our help from FEMA. What we want to make sure and kind of keep an eye on is to make sure in our recovery that our signature industries are also protected as well. But it's important to note, I kind of want to go back to something that was said before. In terms of a budget cap, that is not tying the hands of a governor. A budget cap is there to say in ordinary operations, this is what you can spend. What we've seen from this governor is to say, I need more money, but I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to spend it. And that just does not fly.
Any response you can give to that?
The governor has always been transparent because he has to be, and the citizens require it. We shouldn't put on the backs of citizens disagreements between the executive and legislative branches. We should take care of our people first and deal internally with what needs to be dealt with, but don't make Kentuckians suffer.
Well, as we start looking ahead, there's going to be another session in 2026, and that'll be, as far as we're aware, the next opportunity that lawmakers will have to come back to the table and address some of these issues. Based on your experience responding to some other disasters we've seen during y'all's time in office, any requests that y'all expect the General Assembly to receive whenever they return?
I'm not sure about the individual requests. I know that whatever those are from the governor, we will certainly take those, examine those, and look at those. You know, that particular branch is the boots on the ground. We are the elected officials as well for our community. And so it's our job, it's our responsibility to make sure that our state funds are spent appropriately. And for a governor or for anyone else to just say, hey, give me more money, but I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to spend it yet, I just need more, is irresponsible. And so it's our job as we represent our people to make sure that our tax dollars are spent appropriately. And it is not that Kentuckians are not getting what they need, because they are. If you say the governor can call a special session, we can have that in 1 to 2 days after it's called. That's a pretty quick response.
Pretty quick at the cost of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the other part is not the governor asking for this. It's the people of Kentucky who want their schools rebuilt. They want the courthouses rebuilt. People from 2022 still don't have what they need to make sure their families are thriving. So it's about a rainy day fund that has billions of dollars in it. And as I look out the window, it's raining.
Well, I appreciate both y'all's passion on this, and unfortunately, we're out of time for this segment, but next year is a budget year, and we'll see